You are not going to believe I have finished 17 makeup products just in the last 2 months alone. The way I'm going to sort these through and talk about each is I'm going to start with categories, eyes, lips, and face, and then at the end we'll look at some totals. I'm really excited about how things are going. Like I always do in my empties videos, I'm going to dump everything out and sort it into categories, and that way you can get a sneak peek at what we're going to be talking about today. So let's just get started with that. And I do have a few declutters that I'm going to talk about at the very end. So let's start with all of the eye products. I only have one. I only have one eye product, and it's actually an eyeshadow. This is from ABH. It's in the shade Stone, and if you can see, the pan had some rust on it. So if I find any other eyeshadows that are doing that, I am going to just throw them away. While I was using up this eyeshadow, I used it as a contour shade and sometimes as an eyebrow color. And so I wasn't using it on my eyes after a while, like I did up until I hit pan, and then I used it in other ways to finish it. Rusty pan aside, this was a really great slight contour color. It was a really light brown and it was very cool toned, and that worked really well for what I wanted it for, which was, like I said, an eyebrow color and sometimes a contour shade. I don't always use heavy contours like right on my cheeks here, but I do sometimes like to use them right here on my jawline. But it's not an everyday thing for me. It's certainly not a necessity, and I am glad to see this gone. Towards the end, there was just a little bit around the edges and I was having trouble picking it up. So I did scrape it out and put it in a little container and then use it as a loose product until it was gone. This retails for $12. It's rare for me to finish an eyeshadow in an eyeshadow palette. It's even more rare for me to finish a single pan. In fact, I probably have only ever done that once or twice in my entire makeup enthusiast lifetime. So let's move on to face. I'm gonna start kind of in order of how I would apply. So I have 3 primers here. I don't normally go through primers this quickly. Both the Too Faced one, the Primed and Peachy primer, and the Jelly Pop primer, these ones were well on their way to being finished before the beginning of this year. And then this one here from Melon, this is the SPF 30 primer. I really liked this, but I went through it so quickly. I actually have the numbers to share, so I am gonna go back to that real quick. ABH Stone, I hit pan on it after 145 uses, and it took me 251 uses to actually finish. This Melon one only took me 32 uses to finish. Not only is it a primer, so I was using it all over my face, but it was also an SPF, so I was being very generous with it. And even though I really liked this formula, 32 uses is not enough considering that this is like $15 or $16 and it's only SPF 30. I try to use SPF 50. So even though I really liked this, I wouldn't buy it again. And for the Jelly Pop primer, they don't make it anymore, so I wouldn't be able to repurchase it even if I wanted to. But this is a really thick primer, and it also was very heavily scented. It had like a watermelon fruit scent, so I didn't love that. I liked it well enough. It was nice, and it did help make my skin look really smooth under foundation, but it's not a necessity for me. And this one took 62 uses to finish. I don't have a number of uses of how many uses it took me to finish the Peachy one, but this was a travel size. I have another travel size in my collection, and this is one of those kind of silicone primers where it's smoothing and it's supposed to like fill your pores, and then it also had a mattifying aspect to it as well, so it's supposed to help keep you from getting oily throughout the day. And I really liked this, but I found a product that does an even better job at those things, and that's the Tarte Poreless Primer. It's in a little glass jar. I have a mini foundation here from Tarte. I liked this a lot. I was in the shade Fair Neutral. I thought this was a really nice shade match for me, and it's very liquidy and it had a decent amount of pigment, but it was buildable, and this one took 31 uses to finish. I have a color corrector here. I finally finished the Flower color corrector. This is in the shade Light Peach, and oh my goodness, this one took 181 uses to finish. And I do have a ton of other color correctors now in my collection. I did a best and worst color corrector video, and I compared this with I think 8 other color correctors. I have a lot of really great ones now, so I'm not going to repurchase this one. But if you are the type of person who prefers a color corrector that isn't super wet looking under the eyes, this one had a little bit, it wasn't mattifying necessarily, but it just kind of helped you from looking super glowy under your eyes. Like, not everybody likes that. So I liked it for that, and it did have a peachy undertone. I think it did a great job at color correcting the darkness under my eyes. But I found that if I used too much or if I didn't have enough eye cream on underneath, it could have the capacity to make my under eyes look a little bit dry, like whenever I smiled or my eyes crinkled up. Again, I have a ton of color correctors that I really love right now, so I don't need to go and purchase this one again, but I really enjoyed wearing it. Two concealers here. One of them is a mini Tarte one from that Sea Breezy line, and the other one is the Kosas concealer. This is in the shade 3.2. I think this shade here, 3.2, worked better as a foundation shade for me than it did an under eye color. I would probably get a lighter shade if I were to purchase this again. I did take the stopper out, and this took 138 uses to finish. I used this a ton, and then I put it away because I wanted to try and focus on some of my other concealers. And then I saw an Instagram reel from a cosmetic scientist. I don't exactly know what the right term is, but they were talking about how Kosas products don't have a lot of preservatives in them, and if they start to smell weird, they are likely expired and not safe to use anymore. I don't exactly know the exact details, but it was enough of a motivation for me to go back and try to focus on this to finish it. I liked the formula of this. I think it was really skin-like, and it had enough coverage, and I liked the undertone of it. I really liked this concealer, but with how finicky it is and how concerned I get about it expiring before I can finish it, unless I become like a one concealer person where I really only have one concealer in my collection at all times, I probably wouldn't buy this again. But it was really good. The next one I didn't like as much. Again, it's that Tarte concealer. This is the Hydro Sealer, and this is in the shade Fair Neutral again, 12N. This was a little bit light, and I don't know if it's just the mini, but I hated the applicator. It's just a little doe foot applicator, but it's super stiff, and with it being so small, and with this product like jutting out, I had trouble like actually getting it on my eye and applying everything that was on the doe foot. Like, I'd have to go in multiple times to get it. Plus it was a really liquidy formula, and I didn't feel like it had a lot of coverage. I did take the stopper out to get some more use out of it just because it's so small, and I felt like I was going through it really quickly. And as a result, I was able to get 28 uses out of this total, and I wouldn't buy this again. I definitely love the Hydro foundation a lot better than the concealer. I have two face powders, and both of them were really close to being finished at the beginning of the year, so I don't want it to seem like I go through a full loose powder and a pressed powder just within 2 months. That's not the case at all. This e.l.f. blotting powder had a ton of pan in it already. It was the powder that I kept in my backpack for touch-ups throughout the day, and once I had hit enough of a pan on it, I switched it out with the newer powder because I didn't want to have powder with a pan in it in my backpack. I just felt like it was much more likely to break. So I used it as a setting powder, like to set my foundation, and I really liked it for that. I felt like it looked very natural, like it definitely mattified my skin and took down that powdery look and set my foundation, but it didn't make me look dry, and it didn't look heavy or cakey. It just really had a beautiful like matte skin-like texture. However, I don't think that this is great for oil control. It doesn't keep me from getting oily throughout the day like the Too Faced Peachy powder did. So for the Too Faced one, I was able to take out the sifter thing on the top, so I was able to go through and get everything out of it. And this had a very slightly pinky peachy tint to it, and it smelled really heavily of peaches. I can still smell it now even though all the product is gone. And I didn't really mind that, but I know some people would not like that at all, especially that peachy color. I'm sure that wouldn't work with a lot of skin tones. I don't think they make this anymore, so I wouldn't buy it again, but it did take me forever to go through. This is humongous. It is 35 grams. 35 grams. Let me show you some other powders to compare. So Too Faced is 35 grams. The Essence loose powder is 6 grams, and the Charlotte Tilbury powder is 13 grams. So you get like triple the amount of product in the Too Faced one than you get in the Charlotte Tilbury one. Again, I really liked it for oil control. I didn't mind the scent, I didn't mind the color, and this was the one that I reached for when I knew I wanted my makeup to last and I wanted to keep from getting oily too quickly. And the last face product is this Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist from e.l.f. This one I was not able to track because I used it like 30 times and then I put it back in my drawer, but it was laying sideways, and it ended up leaking quite a bit, so I don't actually know how much product was in here before versus after the leak. But I do have another setting spray from e.l.f. in the same packaging, so it's likely that the uses will be the same. So once I finish that one and share the numbers, that number will probably be applicable to this one as well. And so I liked this because I do think it was a good oil control setting spray. I also liked the mist on it. It was very fine. It does have one of those metal things in the bottom, which I don't know if that actually does anything. I don't know if it really helps mix up the product better. But out of all the setting sprays that I've tried, especially ones from the drugstore, I do think this is one of the better setting sprays. I do still prefer the Urban Decay All Nighter and the Scandinavia Bridal. Like I like those setting sprays because I know they're very effective. But this was great. I really loved using this. And then the last set of products are all lip products. I'm really proud of myself. Lip products take me a long time to go through. I have two mini lipsticks here from Stylo. They're in incredibly similar colors. This top one is Bocce and this bottom one is Perla. And I did take the stopper out of both of these. And these are a little bit older and I don't tend to wear liquid lipsticks that much anymore. So I actually used these as cream blushes. And I would say I got just over 30 uses out of both of these as a cream blush. I don't exactly remember how many times I used them on my lips before that, but I would say probably 40 uses total for both of these. I really like those types of cool tone mauve colors, just like the one I'm wearing as a top today. And I would mix this with a liquid highlighter, maybe a tiny bit of a concealer or foundation, just to tone down the level of pigment. And I think that liquid lipsticks make great cream blushes because they are very pigmented and they last a long time. And they're easy to mix with other things to get the formula that you want. So I'm actually going through some of my other liquid lipsticks like that too. I am actually currently using a lip liner as a blush. I just learned that trick from Sarah Rose a few weeks ago and I'm loving it. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking some lip products that are a little bit older in my collection. Maybe I don't feel comfortable using them on my lips anymore and using them in a new way that I am really loving. I also have two lip liners here. Both of these were pretty much almost done at the beginning of the year, like I said, and I just focused on them to finish them. The first top little nub here is Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury, and then the one underneath it is Nude Suede Shoes by NYX. And I like both of these a lot. I have a shade from the NYX Slim Lip Pencil in the shade Peekaboo Neutral, and it's a really close dupe for the Pillow Talk one. There's a chance I would repurchase this lip liner again down the line. This is my second or third one of this pencil to begin with. But for now, I'll just use the Peekaboo Neutral one. And then Nude Suede Shoes, I really like. It's a very similar color to Pillow Talk again, but this is a really, really creamy formula, and I just find that I'm preferring drier pencil formulas over formulas like this. I will say, there's a piece of Scotch tape on the bottom of it because I don't remember who I saw talk about this. It might have even been in like a Reddit comment or something, or maybe a comment on another panner's video, but once I got to a certain point when I was sharpening it, the bottom was spinning, so I couldn't sharpen it anymore even though there was product still in there. So I took a piece of Scotch tape and I wrapped it around the bottom, and that kept it all together, and I was able to sharpen it 2 more times after that bottom part started spinning. So that's a really great tip. Thank you to the people who have brought that to my attention. I was able to get a little bit more use out of this before calling it quits. And these were both really great. Like I said, I have a ton of the NYX Slim Lip Pencils. I probably have like at least 10 of these, and they're fantastic. So I'm not gonna run out and repurchase these ones again, but these are fabulous. I have 2 lip products left. One is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Lip Stylo in the shade Sweet Melon. It says it's a lipstick, but it's more of a tinted lip balm. Look at that. I talked about this in more detail in my Club 100 update. If that isn't already up, it will be up really soon. And I loved this. I raved about this during 31 days of Litmas. This CoverGirl Clean Fresh was day 13 of Litmas. If you go to that playlist, I'll also have it linked in the description box. But in that short video, I do a demo and a swatch and, you know, a little bit more about the formula, etc. And I got, how many uses did I get out of here? I wore this 103 times before it was finished. I did go through and dig out everything. And so if you don't prefer to dig out product and you stop once you're not able to apply it to your lips anymore, you're gonna get far fewer uses out of it because there is a huge amount of product in the actual tube than is outside of the tube. And I'm assuming it's because it's a more creamy formula. It's very thick, and you can sometimes over apply if you push too hard. Like if you apply too much pressure, you could squish it. And so they probably put a ton in the bottom, like in the cap, to sort of act as a support for the product up top. I'm not sure. I will say this was $11 and I did go through it pretty quickly. I loved the color of it. I like that it doesn't have any taste or scent to it. I also like the packaging. I think it's really cute and I enjoyed it. I liked it. If I didn't have so many lip products currently that I'm playing with and testing out and enjoying, I would buy this again. And I'm just really glad to have been able to try it. It's definitely a hidden gem at the drugstore. Same with this one from Charlotte Tilbury. If I didn't have so many lip products, I would absolutely repurchase this. I would get it in a different color though. This is the Hyaluronic Happy Kiss in the shade Romance Kiss. Again, I also dug everything out of this one too. This is also a really thick moisturizing product. It's much more pigmented than the CoverGirl one. And this one took 142 uses to finish. So this is like 30 something dollars. The CoverGirl one is like a third of the price. And I got maybe 40 uses more out of this one than I did the CoverGirl one. So if you're looking for one that has a better cost per use, then I would go for the CoverGirl one. Just know that the formula isn't exactly the same and the pigment is different. The Charlotte Tilbury one is definitely more pigmented. I loved both of these. These are fantastic. Definitely favorites of mine. This was also featured in Litmus. This was day 9 of Litmus. And I will also have that short with the demo and the swatches and more information about the formula in the description box. So I do have 3 products that I'm decluttering and they are lip products. I figured instead of doing like a giant video where I go through my entire collection and only declutter a handful of things, I would just throw any declutters at the end of my Empties videos since those go out every couple of months. The very first one from ColourPop, this is the glowing lip in the shade La Cienega. This one I feel the strongest about. I don't like this at all. I hate the taste and I hate the scent. The color's pretty, the formula's pretty. I was really excited. I thought I would really like this. But yeah, pretty much every lip product from ColourPop that I've ever tried, which is a couple of the lippy sticks and the Just a Tint chubby stick and this, they've all smelled bad and they've all tasted bad, even if the formula is fine. I don't understand why that is. And also the cap is already broken, so like this just falls off for no reason, so I can't really take it anywhere with me. And even though it's a really pretty color and formula, I tried to put it on the other day thinking, oh, maybe I can just like reach for it more and slowly work through it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear this again. This Tarte one, this is the Tarte CH2O Balm in the shade Room Service. This is a really, really pretty color. It's kind of like a purpley mauve color, but this is so minty. For some reason, I didn't realize it was going to be minty. I ordered it online and I thought I had avoided some of the Tarte lip products are minty, and so I typically avoid those. And I don't know why I didn't realize that this one would also be minty, but it is. It's super pepperminty, just not worth trying to finish that when I have so many other lip products that I love. And this last one breaks my heart a little bit because the packaging is so pretty. This is from Geodes. And it's the Essential Lip Enhancer Shine Balm in the shade Monarch. This is a really pretty light cool toned pink. And I featured both of these products during Litmus, so if you want to see more information, I will have those shorts in the description box if you'd like to see more full-on demos, etc. And this is an interesting color, like it's very sheer. And if you see in that demo, in that short, I applied it and applied it and applied it and it just didn't show up on my lips. So it's essentially a clear balm, but it's not nourishing at all. It's very thin and it's something that makes your lips feel drier after it wears away and then you have to keep reapplying. And then on top of that, it has started to have more of a perfumey scent. I don't recall it having this when I first started using it, and it's not really that old. I bought it towards the end of last year, so I have not had it for that long for the scent to have changed so quickly. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to throw this away because I think it's expired. And it's just a shame. Like, this is so cute. It's got little butterflies on the bullet. It's a nice weighted bullet. I love the light pink. Like everything else I love about this lip product, but the formula isn't that great and that scent is really putting me off. So those are all of my empties. Let's look at totals real quick. Like I said earlier, I finished 17 makeup products, and the total for all of those products combined, the retail value, is $259.78. I do have a project pan where I feature some of these products, and then I do sort of show these throughout my everyday makeup drawers that I put out like every 2 months. But for the most part, these are just products I'm reaching for naturally. I put them in my everyday makeup drawer because they're almost finished or they're getting old and I want to finish them before they expire. And so it's kind of just like a natural part of my life cycle of some of these products where I've been really loving them and enjoying them, some of them for years, and now I'm kind of just getting to the point where they're being finished organically. I also have a general guideline that I'm trying to follow right now, sort of like a low buy, where every 11 products I finish, I feel comfortable bringing 5 more products in. And I do have a video that I just put out where I show you some of the things I'm interested in trying, and then you're able to give me some feedback on whether or not you think I would like them, or if there's something else I should try. Maybe you have other recommendations for me. I've already learned so much from you. I so appreciate your feedback and your thoughts. And it's just a chance for us to like talk about makeup and kind of just get excited over new releases or things that we would be really excited to try. It's just a good time, and I'm excited to do another video like that pretty soon. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. I so appreciate you joining me for a little bit. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.